Every day we put on shirts without thinking about the tiny details that make them work. The collar keeps its shape, the buttons keep everything in place, and at the end of every sleeve sits a small piece of fabric that most people barely notice. But this simple part has survived through centuries of changing fashion, different cultures, and new ways of dressing. It has been worn by workers, professionals, and everyday people for reasons that go far beyond appearance. So why do shirts have cuffs, and what is the real purpose behind this overlooked part of our clothing? Let's find out the real reason, right here, on History of Simple Things. The earliest purpose of shirt cuffs was closely connected to how shirts were originally worn. In the past, shirts were not always meant to be seen as the main piece of an outfit. They were often worn as protective layers between the body and more expensive outer clothing. Because of this, the sleeve needed a strong and finished edge, and the cuff helped provide exactly that. Early shirts were commonly made from materials like linen, which could become worn down from constant movement. The wrist area experiences a lot of friction from daily activities, so adding a reinforced section helped prevent the fabric from stretching, tearing, or losing its shape. What seems like a simple design choice was actually a practical solution to a common problem. Cuffs also became important because they helped control the fit of a shirt sleeve. Without a cuff or some kind of closure, a sleeve would either need to be tight around the wrist or loose enough to allow movement, and both options created problems. A tight sleeve could limit comfort, while a loose sleeve could become inconvenient during everyday tasks. The cuff created a balance by giving the sleeve a structured opening that could be adjusted to the wearer's wrist. This allowed the arm to move naturally while keeping the fabric neat and controlled. Even today, the basic idea remains the same. A well-designed cuff keeps a shirt comfortable, functional, and properly fitted without making the wearer feel restricted. As clothing styles changed, shirt cuffs slowly became more than just a practical feature. They became part of personal style and social presentation. In many periods of fashion history, visible cuffs were considered a sign of elegance and attention to detail. People began using decorative stitching, unique materials, and cufflinks to make the wrist area stand out. Since cuffs were often visible beneath jackets or coats, they became one of the few parts of a shirt that could be intentionally displayed. This helped create the tradition of leaving a small amount of cuff showing from beneath formal clothing. The details suggested that the wearer cared about appearance and understood the importance of small finishing touches. Different cuff designs developed because people had different needs and preferences. The barrel cuff, which is the most common style today, uses buttons to secure the sleeve around the wrist. It is simple, reliable, and works well for both professional and casual clothing. French cuffs, however, are folded back and usually fastened with cufflinks, giving them a more formal appearance. They are often associated with events where traditional dress is expected. Another style, the convertible cuff, allows the wearer to use either buttons or cufflinks depending on the occasion. These variations show that cuffs were not created randomly. Each style reflects a different balance between practicality, comfort, and personal expression. Although cuffs are often associated with fashion, they still serve several practical purposes in modern life. A properly fitted cuff helps prevent sleeves from sliding too far down the hand, which can become annoying while writing, typing, or working with objects. It also creates a cleaner relationship between the shirt and accessories such as watches. The position of a watch can sometimes depend on the size and style of the cuff, because the two pieces need to work together comfortably. The cuff acts as a boundary that keeps the sleeve organized while still allowing the rest of the shirt to move freely. These small details are easy to ignore, but they affect how comfortable a shirt feels throughout the day. Today, clothing has become much more relaxed, and many modern shirts no longer emphasize cuffs in the same way. Casual clothing like t-shirts, hoodies, and many everyday tops usually end with simple hems or elastic bands because they serve different purposes. However, the traditional shirt cuff remains because it combines function and design in a way that few clothing details do. It solves a practical problem while also giving a shirt structure and personality. In a time when many designs are simplified, cuffs continue to exist because they quietly improve the way clothing fits and moves. Their survival shows that some features last not because they are flashy, but because they genuinely work. The next time you button a shirt cuff, it may be worth seeing it as more than just the end of a sleeve. This small piece of fabric carries centuries of human problem solving, from protecting clothing and improving comfort to shaping the way people express themselves through fashion. A cuff does not demand attention, yet it continues to perform its purpose every time we wear a shirt. It quietly supports movement, keeps sleeves controlled, protects the fabric from wear, and adds a sense of structure to something we use almost every day. Its design reflects a balance between practicality and appearance, proving that even the smallest parts of an object can have a meaningful role. And perhaps that is what makes them so fascinating. The smallest details can often reveal the biggest stories about how people live, adapt, and solve problems. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.